Welcome to the Dungeon Crawlers Podcast, casting light on the depths of online multiplayer gaming. I am your host, Aggelos, founder of the Dungeon Crawler Network and the, chicken wrangler that is the moderator of this podcast. It's like herding chickens, herding cats. I don't know. First chicken up at the bat is Asari, the friendly neighborhood. You changed this. You did. All right. Asari, your friendly neighborhood internet wordsmith with content at far too many places to name. Just follow him on Twitter at Ethan McVie or find all of his content in one spot at aaronpenman.com. So he'll make me stop reading this or stop making me read off this list. I like it. I was not prepared. I was actually ready for your other one.
Nope. You can list them all off if you'd really want, but I figured I'd give you a break, at least for now.
Yeah, but the sad part is I think that it's almost as long as what you had before, just not as many sites.
But it had comedic elements, so it was
did.
Better.
I like it. Yes. Also joining us, the one down, you probably not noticed before, but she is the graphic artist over at DungeonCrawlNetwork.com. That's Latuna. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad I'm not the second chicken up to bat. I'm just up.
I was going to say chick, and then I stopped, because you are a girl, and that's where we left it. But you're more like a cat, trying to hurt a cat.
I am. I don't have my proper headphones on right now, though. I've got the ones that you can actually hear me speak through.
Nice. And the cynical asshole himself, Broden, the guy who is, veteran level 450, what is it? Prestige level? Paragon level? Okay. Are you picked up the Necromancer today, I assume?
Sure, I'm totally not level 70.
Okay.
Picked up.
Picked up. All right. Awesome. All right, so we got some MMO news for you guys to talk about today, and we're just going to go ahead and jump right on into that. First off, Guild Wars 2 has launched its automated guild tournaments for PvP, as well as had some changes to the Heart of the Mist, the lobby for where you go in to do PvP. Now, Asari and I, we've both been doing a good bit of Guild Wars 2 lately, and I believe, Asari, you have a walkthrough of the new Heart of the Mist, right?
Yeah. I've only been playing Guild Wars 2 a little bit recently, just because I haven't had that much time. But I've been trying to stay on top of my daily logins, and I logged in, and I'm like, "Where the hell am I? What is this strange place?" Because I logged out in the PvP instance, and I had no idea that they were going to change it because I was not paying any attention to anything. So I figured, let's throw on the recording and take a look because it looked really pretty. So,
So much as a walkthrough as a rediscover.
More or less.
Yeah, I was just discovering it as I went, so I didn't really know what was going on, but that can add value on its own. So I guess if you're curious, you can find that on my YouTube channel over at youtube.com/c/Asari, ISARII.
There you go.
Plug.
It's one of those, let's take a left over here. Oh, it's a wall. Okay, let's turn back around. Right. Well, so they're redoing that. And one of the main reasons why they're redoing that is with these automated tournaments that are coming in. I think they're basically a 3-day or 3 different tournaments a day that you can be part of. And as you're progressing through, you start earning these qualifying points. And at the end of the tournament period, those with the most qualifying points get special rewards. One of them being having their statue of their character put out as like a challenge to everyone else within the Heart of the Mist. So when you sign in, you see the winning team. And if you had ideas of winning a tournament naked, if you were that good, your statue will not be naked. The developers already thought about that.
Stupid glamour is what you need.
It's actually really funny is, Fashion Wars 2 is often a joke that's thrown around because all the gear is just flat at the top level. So there's no gear grind, but a lot of it's a fashion grind. And one of the ways they do this is they sell costumes that are just like full body. It does not, if you're wearing a costume but you don't really care what you look like underneath, it doesn't care. It's not going to do the costume. It'll do with what you're wearing underneath, which is interesting, I guess.
Huh. That actually is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So like if you've been running around in, the Balthazar costume and you just have random mismatch of gear, that is what your statue will look like if you win. But apparently also they made, I'm spraying the cat with water. She won't leave me alone. With my handy dandy DCN cat repel tool, also works on Khajiit. But yeah, they actually said, well, if someone won naked, will the statue actually be naked? And apparently they're like, no, we thought of that already. So if you're not wearing any gear in any slot, it'll just be replaced with the starter gear that you get at level 3 when you come out of the instance. So that was kind of fascinating. The other thing that's kind of interesting is they're adding, for anyone who wins one of these tournaments, you will get a pass, like an airship pass like they've released before, that will take you to Champion's Rest, which is one of those, all the services are like right there. You got your bank, you got your Mystic Forge, you got everything. And you can hang out there and look down at the plebs below you because only like 30 people ever will be able to be in there at a time. That's an exclusive club right there. No one has anything to say about it. All right.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of interesting, I guess. It has services that are pretty much already found in close proximity to themselves elsewhere in this same map. And I guess exclusivity is cool for some people.
It's not the first time they've done this. It's relative to the airship pass or the royal pass that they offered before, where it's this exclusive area you can get to that all the services are just like right there. I mean, everything is fairly close with all the teleports and stuff. It's normally not very hard to get around, but these areas are generally just like they plop you in a room and everyone's just lined up in a pretty low course line, and that's where everything is. You just get to everything in that area. And it was convenience things that you can actually buy on the gem store. You can buy these passes to get up there. I don't know why you would want them, but you can. Or you can actually, I think you can even win a permanent one out of the Black Lion chest, but regardless. Yeah. This one will only be, you can't buy a permanent. It's only if you win a tournament can you get up there. So it's more of a prestige thing because it's an area that you can't jump to or get to, but you can see the people that are up there. So they'll just be sitting up there preening, like, hey, look at me. I won the whatever tournament.
It's EPA in the area.
Essentially, yeah. Look at me.
I have trouble imagining this is something people really care that much about. I don't know.
I don't know. I see this as being something that almost nobody cares about, and then that small group of people care very, very, very much.
I was going to say, the people who really care about it are the ones who are going to be up there.
Maybe. Right. I don't think I would care if I got... I mean, I'd go in once, and I'd be like, this is cool, and then I never... It kind of reminds me of, like, SWTOR's VIP lounge that literally no one ever goes in. Like, this one's harder to get into, but that's sort of... a prestige item that segregates the player base just means that you can't show it off that well to people.
Right.
I think there are costumes and stuff that or I think armor sets that you'll get from participating in this and winning as well, and I think that's a much better motivator. So I don't know. This is something it's cool. It's not a bad thing or anything. I'm just kind of a big meh on it, really.
Yeah. No,
big sarcastic. Cool.
I mean, it's even with the airship passes. I think I got one when they first were released. I walked up once. I'm like, all right, so everything is closer. I save about 30 seconds. Okay.
Oh, actually, I did remember something else about this that was kind of neat. The players up in the lounge have buttons or something they can push to mess with people in the dueling area, right? Isn't
that is correct.
Okay, that's mildly interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
But mess with them how?
All right, so let's preface this. There's now a free-for-all, okay? Like, when you go into the Heart of the Mist, there is a free-for-all arena that when you go in, you're flagged for PvP. Anyone in there can kill you. While you're up in this Champion's Rest, there's also a way for you to mess with the people in there, such as dropping a flame turret on top of them. Or almost like don't stand in the fire kind of stuff, like, oh, I'm going to drop a patch. You see two people fighting, I'm just going to drop a patch of fire, and all of a sudden fire lights up underneath them. They have to get out of it. So yes, they can mess with anyone in the free-for-all PvP arena.
That sounds kind of fun, I guess.
Yeah,
and also like horribly, horribly troll abusive.
Oh no, it's totally trolling. But again, the free-for-all arena doesn't. The free-for-all arena is actually just designed as a place while you're waiting for your queue to pop to go and fight.
Yeah.
There's no
I don't
leaderboards.
see any really potential for abuse.
Yeah,
there.
It's
a small area that you intentionally go into to fight other players.
You know what
I
it
guess that's a
reminds.
little bit better, but I haven't been into anything like that since RuneScape.
Yeah.
This is, kind of. It reminds me a lot of basically the entire concept behind Amazon Game Studios and the games they're working on, the names of which I can't remember. There's a team shooter, a MOBA, and then the MMO New World, and they're being heavily designed with Twitch integration involved,
right?
As you might expect, since Amazon owns Twitch. And we know that some of the things that they're looking forward to doing is like there will essentially be a DM character in the team shooter that's a neutral party who can just mess with either team as he sees fit and spawn things to screw with them. And there is going to be Twitch integration with that role where the chat can somehow take part in how he's messing with the teams.
Right.
We don't really know the details yet because this is all still heavily in development, but it's kind of like a less interesting version of what Amazon Game Studios is doing.
Yeah, right. No, that was pretty cool. I mean, that's new. The thing that I thought of right off the bat was the Girabashi Arena in WoW without the reward of actually getting the chest that randomly spawns every 6 hours. Like that, get out of here.
I guess that was certainly an area in which people could fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Legion areas. We all played Legion. The PvP areas where you go in, like the towers. I mean, they had quest objectives, obviously, but I mean, it's that idea. As soon as you walk into it, anyone can kill you anywhere. But this just doesn't have any purpose, like at all.
I played on a PvP server, unlike you.
So it was everywhere.
Yeah. The Legion towers weren't free for all, though. I definitely had some like defense events where we would just go and kill people trying to kill our guards, and they were good times.
Well, the towers weren't, but there were PvP areas. I'm thinking specifically.
Oh, right. No, I know what you...
Yeah.
Like the one where you could get on the mounts
and
fight other people with the mount abilities.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
those were terrible.
Yeah, no one... I mean, there were a few world quests that you could go do, but otherwise there was no point. This literally has no point other than just going in and waiting for your queue timer to go away. And so now the people up in Champion's Rest can now drop fire on you while you're waiting for your queue timer to pop. So,
I mean, yeah, it's just a fun novelty thing, though. It's not like they're trying to flesh it out into a game system or anything.
No,
it sounds like what makes it not problematic is the fact that it is just kind of for the power of getting up to the top to mess with other people instead of like actual game rewards.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, and that the other people have to just go into this area that's almost essentially existing so that they can be messed with. That's kind of the point of this.
Yeah, there's no other reason, because I think you can duel outside anyway. I thought maybe you can't. Maybe you have to go in there. I don't know. I haven't tried recently. I know you used to be able to duel, like if you wanted, just throw a duel flag down and then you'd be able to fight if you were just testing builds. This is literally just, I feel like going in and just insane mayhem is going to happen. All right. Moving on. Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood had their early access. I'm glad you're happy. You're about the only one. Because all reports say that the early access was terrible. Specifically terrible due to a lot of, what is it, Rob on Extreme,
Rob on Savage.
Rob Savage, the dreaded line boss, and the Black
Rob
Hole.
on Savage.
Yeah, those are all the same thing.
Yeah. Well, not the Black Hole boss. No. You might have been waiting for Rabon Savage, but the Black Hole the boss is different. So yeah, they launched, and more or less what was happening is there was so much strain on the server, whether it was DDoS, which we'll get to in a little bit, or just poor planning on Square Enix's part. The majority of people could not progress the main story quest line past a certain point because it required you to go into a storyline instance, but it would never pop or it would crash. Now, both Broden and Latuna both play. I know you guys are on Marbrell, which is the low pop server, and you were saying it was happening to you, but not as
medium.
bad. Medium pop server. Did you guys have any issues? Did you wipe on Raubon Savage?
Oh, no, we didn't get past. We just waited.
So the thing about Raubon Savage is that you had to go into an instance, but they were only letting, I think it was 10 people in at a time. But it's actually a significantly long instance, and there's hundreds of thousands of people trying to get in at exactly the same time. And so during peak hours, you could be sitting there for literally the entire time that you're there, just clicking on him over and over again, skipping the cutscene, and then getting kicked back out to the world because there wasn't a space for you. Some servers and some instances on some servers tried to set up lines, but since it was 10 across your entire server and there are 3 instances per area, per server, if only one instance was setting up a line or only one server was setting up a line, it's still a fight to get in there, and so it just didn't matter. So, and because it was a story instance, you had to do it in order to progress further in the story, and so that was ticking a lot of people off, because that means that all of the new areas were basically completely locked off to you. There's only so far you can progress just running around on foot before you can't go any further.
Right.
We actually saw some people on our server that were directing people to an area that you can't get to except through story. And they had finished Raubon's wall and gotten further on, and they were telling people to die at this specific spot, and they would res them over the wall to get them so that they could at least explore the rest of the area. So that was kind of entertaining.
That's interesting.
Now, I want to specify something just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It is an early access. So just a statement of saying like they weren't ready for the launch. Once the game actually launched, it was fine.
Yeah, but that's because all you got to say that I got to throw this in here. Pretty much anyone who was a fan of Final Fantasy who didn't pre-order it. I
get you, but at the same time, if you're going to be upset about I'm not trying to defend them.
And this isn't like an early access title where the game is unfinished. This is the fully released MMO giving you access to your game 3 days early on the live servers, on the live characters.
I guess early access.
I'm not completely justifying them. It was a shitfest regardless, but at the same time, that'd be like bitching about your beta not working right.
Right. Well, but
other than the part where it's on the live servers for a released game.
Yeah, no, it's
an early access to it, and they fixed the issues before the game was actually out.
Now,
I don't think that's a distinction.
I don't either. And this is
especially because the whole point of giving people early access is to distribute server load better, basically.
Yeah.
Well, and they did use this to gather some pretty useful data in trying to redistribute who was on what server, so there weren't really big massive servers and then mostly empty unpopulated servers. They gave people a lot of incentive to transfer away from the larger servers and kind of balance it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last episode, right? Wasn't it last one that we talked about? The world transfer cost, not it being removed, and then also saying, hey, you get above level 30, we're giving you like 1 million gil, like a bunch of different stuff. That was pretty interesting. And I liked how you said that they brought data, because didn't they now initiate something where it will now automatically kick you out of the game where it never used to before to prevent server queues lasting forever?
That existed way back when Heaven's Ward, and every single time they've launched. When 2.0 launched, when Heaven's Ward launched.
They disabled it
congestion from people who would just sit there AFK.
Right.
They disabled it during like the downtime because people weren't stuck. People weren't able to not get on because traffic decreased significantly between launches. But they did that right off the bat. I remember us getting there was workarounds that people came up with to avoid getting AFK kicked, and they just reinstated it for this.
Right.
People were talking about you open a dialogue box with an NPC and then walk away.
Oddly enough, just a little bit of a shot I feel like throwing out. ESO kicks you out of the game if you're inactive for a couple minutes, unless you have the Crown Store open.
Yeah, but ESO kicks you out of the game every few minutes, regardless of whether or not you're active.
Oh, no, yeah, that's true. But no, it was just a funny joke that, literally...
No, I'm kidding. That is actually hilarious.
Seriously, if you open up the Crown Store and walk away, I did this where it left me in like 8 hours at work. It was just funny.
Surely that can't be intentional, can it?
I think it might be.
It might be.
It's like, no, he's just he's really invested in spending all of his money on our crown stores.
Yeah. Which I just thought that was really funny. It's one of those things someone gave me a tip of. If you don't want to get logged out, just open the Crown store, and it will not log you out. Sorry. Tangent, but I thought it was funny.
It is funny, but it also annoying.
Sad at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sad.
So before we get to the we'll do this first. So a few days later, Square Enix comes out, and I guess to placate all the players who were very upset about their early access, because I mean, let's face it, most of the diehard Final Fantasy fans pre-ordered, so they got early access. It's kind of like the same kick in the balls that ZeniMax did, where Morrowind went on sale like 3 weeks after the fact, and I was like, that's because anyone who wanted the game already bought it at full price and pre-ordered it. The on sale is trying to get the people who are like, maybe I don't really want it anyway. You know, that's why they did it so late. So anyone who was already a major fan of the game was already in and doing early access. So the not being prepared for early access it sucks, because people probably also took off work if they wanted, I know I used to do that. Whenever an MMO would come out, I'd take off for like the launch week. And if you're expecting I've taken off for 3 days to play the early access and I can't progress past X point, it created a lot of hate. So Square Enix comes out and says the reason why it sucked was because we were coming under a DDoS attack. To which myself and many other people call bullshit. At least, all right. Go ahead, Broden. Do your joke. I know you want to.
I mean, technically it was DDoS. It was just by a bunch of people trying to log on.
Like a legit, it wasn't malicious. Like I call BS on the malicious DDoS. I just think they weren't prepared, and now they're trying to save ass.
I don't. Either I mean, way, I know you guys are both techie, but I'm not sure that it's a DDoS when people are just doing it unintentionally by wanting access to your product.
I mean, a DDoS attack is you sending a bunch of fake requests.
Broden, hold on a second. We're getting some feedback from down there right now, so I don't know why.
Well, a DDoS is a specific thing, though.
It's a denial of service attack, but
a distributed denial of service. It's important that it's organized. It's not just people trying to access it.
Well, I mean, technically, that is the most organization. We all want to play the same game. Let's all log in.
It can be functionally the same, but technically not.
It was a joke. But yeah, no, I mean, in theory, what happened was essentially, if it was malicious, would have been a DDoS, but I just think they were not prepared, and through some crafty wording, they're trying to roll it of, we were under attack, it's not our fault. But it was.
My only issue with that
I'm still getting feedback, guys.
I can hear myself through her perfectly.
Would you, Lutuna, would you either mute or lower your mic to your mouth? Sorry.
Anyway.
There we go.
See if that helps.
It's still there.
Oh, well, maybe you should stop shouting.
I'm not shouting.
No, you guys are good now. Anyway. All right. Lover Squirrel, stop. Bro, go.
The only issue I really have with that whole theory is Yoshi P. I can't see him being a part of the lie if it was a lie kind of deal. Because he's always been very honest and active with all of his player base.
Well, Yoshi P aside, that's the same thing I say even about ZeniMax. I don't think that they're creative directors yes, let's do this shitty monetization. I think it's somewhat. Yeah.
I'm just saying that is the only fact that I'm kind of hesitant on just straight up saying BS is because of that only reason.
Right. And I will give Yoshi P credit on that regard. Yeah, I agree that I don't think he would be behind it, but I don't put it past Square Enix to go, all right, we're getting a lot of negative flack for this. Let's pretend it's not our fault and we're not incompetent, and let's spin it as something else. So that's my regard with this entire thing. Because if you would think it was the DDoS attack, right? And why was it less on some servers or not at all, while only on high pop servers are worse on high pop? It would have been, if it was a true denial of service, it should have been everything in the targeted data center.
I don't know. At the same time, you have to realize that on the high pop servers, it's a DDoS attack going on while there's that many more people logging on.
Nope.
I'm not necessarily
by
saying it's
definition only
true.
malicious traffic. I'm not accepting this.
Now, a lot of the other issue is sometime, what was it? I think a day or two into it.
Wait, aren't the high pop and the low pop servers existing on the same piece of hardware?
Yes.
Isn't that?
No.
Yeah. Isn't that how data centers work?
It is. Yeah.
Yes. Because
Depending
every
on
time
the
a
data
data center
center.
goes down, all the servers go down at once. You never have just one go down.
It's essentially one giant cluster is
Yeah.
all the servers. Yeah. So they're all...
Yeah, so there's no way it would only be affecting high pop servers while
No,
low
I'm
pop
just saying
somehow
on the
remain
high pop
unaffected
servers, you also
unless
have
the
everyone
issue
else
is
logging on to that
local.
server.
All right. The other thing is
The biggest.
Oh, go ahead, Lieutenant.
I was just going to say the biggest thing was that they chose to limit the Raubon instance to only 10 individuals. So if you think about how many people were trying to get into that instance versus how many were allowed in, it did function as a DDoS.
Yeah, but
It's
then
not
why
the
did
servers
they...
that was the problem. It was the instance limit, and they did that to prevent additional strain on the servers.
Right. And then they increased it again to make it easier. So if it was a DDoS, why would you increase it at all if that wasn't the problem?
I think what it was is that they thought that would fix it, and then they realized that was way too small a number and was actually causing really problematic bottlenecks. And then after enough time had passed that a handful of people had managed to trickle through, the traffic did go down fairly significantly, and they were able to bump it without it causing extra strain on the servers. At least that's the explanation that I've seen that makes the most sense to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my honest
I don't
answer
know that-
here is I'm
I don't
not
know
a
that-
fucking network pro. I don't know how this shit works.
Yeah, I don't see how one particular instance would have any effect on an actual DDoS attack, because it would be the entire server.
The instance
Right.
instance servers
the
are
data
different.
center getting hit.
Instance servers are different servers.
Instance servers aren't the same thing either. With that being the case, while you're on your Marlborough server, you have your phases, everything that's run here. The instance server in Duty Finder is actually its own server that
Yep,
you
and
go
that's
to.
the
Surely
server that
it's
was crashing.
virtualized though.
Oh,
and
it's-
access
No,
to
it's-
the
it's
same.
its own server,
and
that's the server that was crashing and being attacked.
all right. I am tech guy here, so I will say technically when you said virtualized, yeah, it probably is virtualized. It's not a physical Blade server. I highly doubt that. It's probably just a VM of some type. But the idea is it still functions Windows or whatever you're running on, Unix, whatever your server infrastructure is still looking at it and going, it can't tell the difference between virtual and physical. It goes,
Probably
nope, it's
Hyper-V,
physical.
given the way it's performing.
Ouch.
See, I know things. I got the jokes.
Ouch.
No.
I 100% agree with that too.
So
hate
they have
Hyper-V.
because I don't know. Would it have its own port essentially? That would be the difference for the virtualized server.
There would be a virtual NIC applied to it, yes. So it would see it as its own NIC card, and that's where all the
So you
traffic
could
would be.
DDoS that specifically.
You could, yes.
Oh, okay.
Given that I highly doubt that's the case, because you're still going to have a firewall going through. So you're going to have all your people connecting through a DMZ to log in. That's what authentication servers are often different than the world servers too. That's where
That's
you pass
true.
the public
It's almost
traffic.
always the authentication server that gets DDoSed.
That's
I was
true.
going to say, to be very true as well, they were very vague. They just said they got DDoS. They didn't say what server was DDoSed.
Yeah, well, authentication is generally the only one open to outside traffic. Once you pass through that, all the network traffic after that is internal and on your own switches.
It would be, I guess my understanding at this point is it would be the only DDoS to ever happen to affect the game in this way.
Yes.
By hitting a specific instance.
Which is why it's
In a way
very
that seems
suspect.
extremely implausible given the way their network should be set up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, are and should be are always going to be two very different things.
Potentially.
All right, so Crowfall moves towards its first campaign test, moving away from the smaller tests that we've been seeing in the past. They're now moving towards The first campaign, which will start seeing day-night cycles as well as seasons. Now, sorry, I know you've been playing Crowfall. I've been playing a little bit of Crowfall. Occasionally. Are you excited for the first campaign test?
Yes. Hopefully it's when I'm in the United States.
Maybe.
But we got bad odds. Hopefully it's after I get back.
I guess you're just playing from over there, I guess.
Yeah, I will not have a computer with me.
That's a shame. So anyway, Fog of War is coming into this for the different maps. Visibility will depend upon day-night cycles, something new that will be coming in. Crafted maps allow you to share knowledge of a location with other players. Again, we're seeing the more MMO aspects coming into this test. And objective-based around map control with forts, keeps, and beneficial resource nodes for rebuilding and repairing different forts. So, I'm trying to pull it up here so I can see everything. I just had it up and then I closed it, and that's a problem.
I can probably explain this reasonably well if you want.
Yeah, go for it. I'm pulling it up right now.
So the cool thing about the maps to kind of keep in mind is that Crowfall is based on this idea of the dying worlds that are finite in duration. They're going to die, and then players are going to all load out, take what loot they got with them, and go back into a new, completely different world, sort of assembled in a Diablo-esque way where different completed chunks are plugged into each other, and then you have to explore and build and all that over again. So having a Fog of War component, much like, I think it's going to probably be somewhat like old WoW, where it's the same once you've explored it, but you just have to explore the map to actually fill it in, is pretty interesting. And that's what the crafted maps are for. Is if you go to like a specific area, you have a piece of parchment in your inventory, you use your crafting skill to create this map. And probably I would assume the accuracy will vary somewhat depending on your skill as a scribe or whatever the profession was. I forgot. And then another player that you give that map to will be able to consume it to learn about I guess the points of interest in your general vicinity. So it's an interesting idea. I guess in a full loot PvP game that's free for all, that type of exploration will be a lot harder than it was in WoW. Scouting might be scouting. I think that was the profession. Mm-hmm. Scouting is something that is going to be a lot harder than WoW, where you could just safely, trot along or fly, depending on when you got into the game. So it's something that could be interesting. I think it's a neat touch to add just another social loop into the game. So I like it, as you'd expect.
Yep.
And then the objectives are basically all these campaigns are going to have different win conditions. And this one is very much just set up for the purpose of this test. It may not be one that ever makes it to live. It's one of the more gamey things about the game that I'm not 100% sold on. But the way this specific one is going to work is I believe it's based around who owns the most forts and keeps. Forts being the ones that are supposed to flip quickly, essentially. They're functionally similar to keeps, but they're a lot less fortified and will be easier to take. There are also resource nodes around the map, as you mentioned, which will give you resources to, surprise, rebuild the forts and keeps and allow you to theoretically hold on to them longer. So the way you win is there are 3 factions for this test. This will have free-for-all later on, or it'll be maybe between guilds or something like that, guilds and alliances. But for this one, faction-based, you have Chaos and Order, who will win by having a clear advantage. Let's say, we don't know the numbers, but maybe if they've got 65% of the map is theirs, they win the campaign. If neither Chaos nor Order have that clear advantage, and it's relatively balanced, then the third balanced faction will win. Now, one of the things I don't really like about this is, at least for the current test, balance switches to allied status with whichever of the Chaos or Order faction happens to be behind at any given time. I would prefer that it was left up to them to make that choice to target their skills to where they're not killing the people they don't want to kill. Hopefully that's something we see later on, or maybe something that they're able to toggle friendly fire with an opposing faction. But as it stands, that's something the system is handling for you. But actually, that's the last point we've got here. They've specifically sort of come out and said this is more a test than a play test. Things are going to be broken.
Right.
Nothing's anywhere near final. Not even the win conditions here. We just want to see how this works for the first time. So that's probably something that can change. It's a bit early to be whining about it, I think. Maybe. But I'll whine about it anyway. So there you have it.
Well,
that's the basics of this first test.
Well, clearly what they're trying to, like you said, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to bring in the idea of that dying world, which is something that is fairly unique to this game. And a core concept, because in previous tests, it's all been fine, stagnant, and that's how it goes. But the elements and stuff are really supposed to affect gameplay. Like in summer, resources might be more abundant than in winter, where the world's dying, the mobs are getting stronger because now the corruption is going in. And welcome, Zakir. Yes, we were talking about Crowfall and their first campaign test. And I'm remiss. I did not say hi to the chat room. Chat room, hello. I'm a terrible host, but in my defense, when we started, we had some weird issues, so we started and stopped and whatnot. And there wasn't a whole lot of people in the chat room at that time. Someone's phone just went off. I can hear that, and I blame Latuna because she looks guilty.
Sorry.
She does. It's true.
I am trying to be polite, but I'm also going to put that over there now.
I just like how when it started to go off, she got this little grin on her face because she knew it was her. Like, yeah.
It was that grin of like, I hope they didn't hear that.
I hope they didn't notice the vibrations. Yeah, no. They're trying to test this idea of the world dying around you, which obviously they're probably going to speed it up too, because it's not going to be a 4-month test. They're probably going to make it a couple hours and go, the entire world is going to die in 4 hours. Here you go, an hour per season. Let's see what happens, which is definitely neat. I kind of like that. So it'll be nice to see that come in, but I guess this kind of begs the question for me is, are they as far along as they say they are? Because weren't they supposed to release this year?
Allegedly. I mean, I don't think anybody ever believed them.
All right, whether or not they believe them or not, I remember talking to a bunch of different people, and the common idea is that Crowfall is releasing this year. Obviously, with these indie MMOs,
they said Q4, I believe, of this year, and I don't believe that even a little bit. That was never going to happen.
Right?
They were crazy to say it.
Yeah.
It is coming along well. I mean, they're a lot closer to that than I would have expected. I would have pegged them 2 years away, whereas maybe next year I could believe at this point.
Right. And it's just like, this is supposed to be this was a major selling point of their titles, this world. So, and I mean, obviously they're an indie studio. They don't have a lot of the resources, so I'm not really coming down on them hard. It's more of just is this as far along? I would have, like you said, you said nothing is permanent, not even the scoring, and I'm sitting there going, okay, so you're testing a major thing that's supposed to be part of your game, like a major part.
The first real look at the game coming together.
Yeah. But your scoring systems are off, and you're going to need to work on that. It just definitely feels like there might be a little further behind. Now, we also talked about
Secure raises a really good point, by the way, in the chat. I don't know if this is what you're about to say. It kind of sounded like it might have been. That they just did their big revamp of sort of the class systems.
Yes.
Being no longer tied to archetypes, where you can have different race class combinations, which you couldn't have before. And I believe they mentioned part of that was them securing additional funding, which they were not expecting originally. So
yeah.
I think we've seen a scope expansion, really, and that's probably why they're
Star Citizen 2.0.
They spent a little bit more time on those core systems to sort of expand the game, and I imagine a delay followed.
Right. I mean, and it's understandable for what they had before.
It's a good delay too. I'm totally down.
Oh yeah, if the game was going to be delayed for anything, this update of the race and the class combo versus the archetype system, 100% cool with that. But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, it's very early on, so unless they're really moving fast with this, it definitely feels like that Q4 of 2018 is going to be pushed back. Broden R. Latuna, any thoughts on this? No, maybe. Okay.
I have no idea about what game we're even talking about.
Wow.
Crowfall, I just haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, I just don't know what Crowfall is. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. And Zakir made a joke in chat, which is pretty funny. Unlike Star Citizen, you don't spend $400 on a Minotaur elf body. Well, maybe you do. We're not really sure yet. All right, so here's something that I think Broden will be more interested in. Diablo 3 is finally getting a little bit of love because Diablo 3 is clearly the redheaded stepchild of the Blizzard family and barely gets any love whatsoever. And I really don't know if I would count this as love. Maybe it's pat on the back, good job, son, kind of deal. Maybe. Some people are pretty interested about this. The Necromancer has finally made its way into Diablo 3. Now, I know the Necromancer was a big favorite of Diablo 2, so a lot of people were really excited when the idea that the pure Necromancer would be coming back. Now, the thing about the Necromancer is it is currently locked behind a purchase, which is, I think, $15, I think it is. And that's pretty much all that came with it, with the exception of a few other things. Challenge rifts, which weekly static dungeons where you can play through someone else's character build and try to beat their time through a dungeon, which I thought that already existed.
It didn't.
Oh, it did not? Maybe they've just been talking about it for... they probably talked about it at BlizzCon, and I just thought it was in the game already. It's been a while since they talked about this. The new zones, the Moors and the Temple of the Firstborn, have been added, and the Realms of Fate, a new zones in Act 4 that added new bounties where zones are stitched together in like a tile set type formation that's not really available anywhere else in the game. So, Broden, you picked up the Necromancer. How is it?
It's actually really fun.
Did you play Diablo 2 at all?
I did.
Okay, so did you play a Necromancer in Diablo 2?
I actually played a Druid, but Druid and Barbarian. I dabbled with the Necromancer, but not a whole lot.
Okay.
So if you played D3 and you played like the Witch Doctor, which is the wannabe Necromancer of that class, I guess, Necromancer's better than it in like every single way possible. So yeah, it's actually a ton of fun. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't regret the $15.
I've spent more at McDonald's than that. So, sorry, the $15 Necromancer being added in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, $15 isn't crazy. It's a lot cheaper than an expansion, and
it's a lot cheaper than some of the ZOS mounts too.
Actually, you know what? Here's a good point. If you play MOBAs, a character's $10.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't strike me as unreasonable. I guess it's... let me put it this way. The only thing that might seem a little content light for $15 is sort of, when I think about it, is completely countered by the fact that they just added a bunch of content to the game for free at the same time. So, if you consider the whole package, hell yeah. And it's even better that you don't have to pay for the great majority of the interesting stuff. So, no, I'm not going to fault them for that.
I also wouldn't fault them for the fact that Diablo 3 hasn't gotten any love since Reaper of Souls, which is, 3 years ago or something like that? Maybe not quite that long ago.
Yeah.
Diablo 3 has been
expansion,
forgotten.
By the way. I think I think a lot of people played the vanilla game, and it was not good. It was pretty decidedly not good.
Reaper of Souls is much better.
They fixed so much stuff with Reaper of Souls. I still don't really play it regularly, but it's legitimately a good game now. And I'm glad they're coming up with content for it again, even if it's not a full-blown expansion. I plan to play through it at some point. I don't know if I'll pick up the Necromancer. It doesn't look super my style. Probably just keep monking it up.
Yeah. Latuna, did you play any Diablo 3 at all?
Nope, which is why I was having so much trouble on the last click-to-move game that we played.
Oh. Mike.
I got like my 4 big ones, and
that's it. All right, Brad, what were you saying?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, this actually poses a good question for those of us who actually did play Diablo 3, which I think is everyone here except for maybe Latuna. Why do you think Diablo 3...
Can we please call it Diablo? You're killing me.
Or
I'm
just
literally
D3.
going
Just say
to
D3.
die.
I'm with him.
Okay.
Stop.
Whatever. D3. Whatever you want to call it. Redheaded stepchild that is Blizzard. Why did D3... And I always feel like I'm rolling dice here when I say that. I don't like it. I'm going to go back to Diablo 3. So Diablo 3
Wrong.
is
Wrong.
Why did it fail? Or why did it feel like it failed compared to what made D2 so much more fun?
I could tell you, right? You just basically answered your own question. It wasn't D2 when it first came out. That's what everybody wanted.
Yeah. I actually know several people from my WoW guild when we were actively playing long before D3 came out, and they were like, I'm only rating WoW till, I played Diablo 2 for like 12 years, and that's all I wanted to do.
Stop it!
Nope. Same whole thing.
Even the chat is thanking me right now.
I'll shut
I'm
up,
a
chat.
hero of the people.
You're all stupid. I said it. I don't care.
Can we set the record straight, though? Which one is it?
It's Diablo.
It's Diablo. Yeah.
2.
I've never even heard Diablo before.
No.
Must be a East Coast thing.
Probably. Anyway, so
Okay.
I honestly thought they were very similar. Like, they're isometric,
You gotta look
randomly
at D3
generated.
when it launched. Like D3 when it launched had like a real money auction built into it. It was terrible.
That was the first thing I was going to complain about.
yeah, and just a whole bunch of the mechanics were not where they were. Like there were no health potions.
Weren't interesting.
It was bad. Like
It didn't have
period.
really good replayable systems like it does now with
The
bounties,
Paragon levels and
it's
the
Paragon.
adventure mode.
Yes.
um,
Adventure mode is so good.
I
So
know.
good.
I'll say right now, like when I'm saying like D3 is fun, I don't play the fucking story. Period. I don't. I just jump in, dick around, and have fun on adventure mode because it's a good dungeon crawler. I just jump in and do Nephilim rips. That's it.
I think the story's good once, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
After
I've beaten
that-
the story though. I don't have a reason to go
yeah,
back
after
on
that, you
every
don't
other class and
need
play it.
And adventure mode is so much better after that. Yeah, just bounties and rifts, and it's fun.
Zakir said D3 suffered from a huge design choice flaw in terms of item power curve. D2 had a steady rise as you got items and skills, but D3 had an AH, etc., and an item system that rose and fell in herky-jerky ways, as he says. Herky-jerky, I like that.
Yeah, it definitely had that flaws when it first came out, but they have, for the majority of it, fixed everything that was wrong with the game at vanilla. Reaper's
they
Souls
have.
is arguably one of the best expansions I've seen in like a franchise, like vastly different from vanilla to expansion loss, just with how much they've changed.
I think they
Quality of life
replaced
and
a lot of
otherwise.
design people to make that happen, as I recall
mean,
as well.
Yeah, you can look at 1.0 of Fortnite Final Fantasy 14 to 2.0 as the same kind of situation. Fucking god awful at launch and pretty good afterwards.
I think my main problem with Diablo 3 at this point is that I just fundamentally don't like Diablo.
That's a personal thing.
I want to. Yeah, I know it's not anything that's wrong with the game. I really like the idea of a procedural game where I can go in and sort of explore the world, and the dungeons are different every time, and I can challenge myself. But then, like in practice, the way you play Diablo is you run through it like it's a sprint as fast as you possibly can, frantically picking things up and dashing through everything that you don't think will pick up good loot, and it's just miserable to play. But at the same time, I'm like a total idiot because like the game where you can cautiously go through Dark Souls, I won't play. So I don't know.
You know, as I was reading Zakir's comment, what made me think D3 kind of reminded me a lot of World of Warcraft in its item drops. In terms of power curve, when you got to a new power level or a new spot, it wasn't a gradual curve. It was like expansion jumps where things were dropping and replacing stuff you got in earlier levels.
I have a really good way to put it all in a nutshell why D3 was bad at launch. People wanted D2, they got Diablo, World of Diablo.
World of Diablo, yeah. I mean, like as he said with the item curve, when I thought about it, it honestly just reminded me of WoW's item grind. How new expansions, when you drop, there was such a huge power curve, and then it dropped off again, and definitely had that feel. All right, so Necromancer's out. Have fun with that. The final thing that we have for our news topic, and I think I'm going to let Asari handle this one because he put it on the notes.
This is the most important MMO news to come out of the last 2 weeks. I should probably open the link. I'm going to be very dramatic about this.
Just
very, very important.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't. So,
PC Gamer has broke the biggest news story of the year. It is our favorite writer, Stephen Mesner, once again. And if you missed this, you're really missing out. Can I keep leading this up anymore? I think I have to tell the story.
You gotta hype it up a bit more.
Yep, okay. It's very important. So this is only really applicable to those of you living in SoCal. If you live there, first of all, I'm sorry. Also, Oregon's full, don't come here. But, okay, well, I'll get to it. A World of Warcraft guild is now using Tinder to recruit players. Discuss.
I have no words of my hate and disgust.
So he's
looking for a long, hard raid? Join us.
I need to pet this cat.
We'll go all night.
Hurting someone.
Without downing a boss.
Yeah, we can't see, sweetie.
You guys can work on your puns for a second. He's got a profile made under the name Adam, 24 years old, and it's got a picture of a human, male, Filthy Alliance character, and the profile reads, "Are you a powerful wandering hero?" Wait, I should read this in a voice. "Are you a powerful wandering hero who frequently meddles in world-ending plans of powerful demons? Do you enjoy long walks on the broken shore, peaceful nights in Suramar, and spending your weekends knee-deep in the corpses of your vanquished enemies? Then Aphelion might be right for you. We're an Alliance heroic raiding guild on Airy Peak. We raid Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 to 9:30 PST, and we're recruiting ranged DPS and healers. Swipe right to learn more."
Can I swipe left?
So
No.
It sounds to me like that would be more
Swipe right for
effective on
adventure. It sounds like what?
That description sounds like it would probably get better traffic on Grindr. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'd be down.
I have no words for my hatred and disgust.
I'm gonna download Tinder right now and swipe right.
So apparently, they've been doing this for a while, and he has had a lot of people reach out to him who think it's cool, but they're all horde because, as we all know, Alliance players are virgins.
Well, right, and that's why he results in going to Tinder and trying to recruit people.
I mean, like, roughly 80% of Tinder is virgins, too.
Only if you're counting the bots. Then that's probably literally true.
I think actually most of Tinder are probably virgins looking to fix the fact, especially if you play WoW.
It could be. Wow.
That's what I was saying.
I'm at a loss. I'm out. All right, tapping out of this one.
I don't know. In all seriousness, though, like that's.
I'm going to take a vitamin.
That's what I feel like. Oh.
It's right here. There we go.
So, in all seriousness, knowing the crossover of the audiences of both of these websites, that's not an illegitimate way to recruit people. It's rather clever and entertaining. And you'd figure that the kind of people who would respond to something that silly are kind of the kind of people that you want to play with.
No.
Well, maybe not the kind of people you want to play with.
If someone swipes right for me on Tinder, I want nothing to do with them.
Why are you on Tinder?
I'm not.
Oh.
And that's why I'm not a murderer.
Wow. Okay. Well, before Latunin turns around and punches Broden in the face, final bit. DCN news, question mark. Apparently someone else put this in here because I think it'd be fun and probably something we're going to do here in the future. So if you're interested in seeing it, a D3 hardcore challenge could be coming to a stream near you right here. It'd be fun. We're going to actually work on that and try to get some people in here. Maybe it'll be a drinking game. It'll be fun.
You know what? While we're talking about it too, let's go with the news that we actually have officially reached with Twitch.
That's fun too.
So,
but it doesn't
we're gonna
mean a whole lot.
Try and do some more streaming stuff still, just because of it.
True.
We have a subscribe button now. Hit it.
Yeah, it's just took the wind out of the sails at this point.
Yeah.
I have more vitamins. I don't know what more you want from
matters for anyone.
Not that it really matters anymore. Yeah.
Yep.
Whoop-de-doo,
Which is
Twitch.
good for the platform, though. That was always one of the worst things about Twitch.
It's kind of like when I was playing Pokemon Go, and I got a perfect IV Pokemon. I'm like, this is amazing, but it turned out to be a Butterfree, so it's just a major kick in the nuts. It's like, what's the point? What's the
one thing to remember, though, is if you're listening to this and you have Amazon Prime and are not currently using that for a free subscription to apply to any Twitch channel, consider this one.
What he said.
Costs you nothing?
I don't know why you would. I mean, we're talking about Tinder and World of Warcraft, and
that's true. Watch some of our older streams. They were fantastic.
They were better than the Tinder episode that we got right here.
The Tinder episode is the best episode. We all need the latest in online gaming dating news.
We're going to work on the rules in the meantime, but we have decided that the D3 challenge will be a drinking challenge.
It will be a drinking challenge. We'll have to think of something.
There's just no way to not do that.
So we'll be drunk on the internet for your entertainment.
It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. You know, actually, what we probably should do, and here's a hint just for anyone, or hint for Discord. When Discord finally gets its video calling working and the screen share, that would be freaking amazing for this, because then we could see all of our drunk faces without me having to do any weird OBS stuff and streaming.
Until then, you get to do OBS stuff.
I hate you.
And hire an editor. What do you want from me?
I don't know. It is what it is. All right, guys. People
subscribe so Aggelos can hire an editor.
People subscribe so I can have someone do this for me. That would be great.
There you go.
That's probably the best argument I've heard all night. That is literally the best argument I've heard all night. It's awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. This has been the Dungeon Crawlers. Before we go off, we're probably not going to have an episode, maybe. I'm going to throw this up here. We're probably not going to have an episode for 3 weeks. Make that almost because Asari's gone.
Yeah.
And
I'll be back in August.
Possibly I could get Broden on. Maybe Latuna. It's going to be hit or miss. So we might have one, but if we don't have one in 2 weeks, it'll be...
Taruha might be done moving by then, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't feel like doing one of these by myself, because otherwise I'm just going to open up a Tinder app and we're just going to start swiping left.
I'll be here. All
right. Broden and I might do
I'll be
something.
on Tinder with you.
All right. Broden and I are going to be on Tinder swiping right. Left, right.
Swiping right for each other.
There we go. All right, Asari, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at Ethan McPhie. MacFie is the last name there.
Get there for a second.
Well, I was going to say yeah. Let me see. Where else am I? I'm also on YouTube, youtube.com/c/Isari, ISARII. You can find all of my content being loaded into a blog roll in one place at errantpenman.com. I've also got Twitch. I'll just do it all. Fuck it. Twitch.tv/Isari. I have a Mixer. Nobody watches that. Nobody needs to go to Mixer. I don't know why that website even exists at this point. But I do have it for the purpose of having it. I won't even tell you what it is. It doesn't matter. Where else? I write at MMOgames.com, MMORPG.com, Gamespace.com. You can also find me doing fan site stuff at TamrielFoundry.com and soon AshenFoundry.com. We're hoping to launch within the next week or two here. Very, very exciting. Our Ashes of Creation site that's coming along that Aggelos is helping us out with. And is that it?
I'd loosely say helping, but yeah, okay.
You've done some testing stuff.
I've done some testing stuff, yes. Yeah,
You'll post your shit there. It'll be good.
It'll be fine. Yeah, sure. Awesome. Definitely looking forward to that. And, of course, you can check out our Ashes of Creation specific show, if that's something that interests you, From the Ashes. It is available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, as well as our YouTube page, which I'll get to. Broden, where can people find you, and what would you like to say?
I don't know where I can find myself.
Okay.
As of late, we've just been busy with Stormblood. No, I'm just scared and confused. So I mean,
better than Dazed and Confused.
No, that's a fantastic song. You take that
all
back.
of my information was on the Dungeon Crawler Network, but there is still no About Us on the new website, so you can't find me there. Until then, I am in the Discord, and I am on Final Fantasy XI as Dark Wolf Odin on Malbaro server of the Chocobo Raider Free Company.
There you go. When there we go. I'm gonna put them on the spot. So both Latuna and Broden, when's that podcast coming back?
Maybe next week.
Oh, cool. Latuna.
I just got to write up the notes and stuff since Stormblood has been out enough.
Yeah, right. Latuna, thank you for showing up.
Thanks.
I know it was kind of last minute. We just kind of were like, hey, Latuna, there you go. You walked across the room and like, give her a mic. And there you were.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened.
Fished out a webcam
That's
and
actually not even false because she's in fact just right there.
I see.
Yeah, we saw her walk by in the background, and he flagged her down, and that's how that happened.
Like like clotheslined her. I thought it was. She went backwards.
Basically,
a little bit.
Grabbed her, strapped her into the chair. You couldn't see that part.
Yeah, that's on the green room video. That may or may not be released because it might be taken down as something else.
Domestic abuse or something.
Yeah, I know we can't have that.
I gotta throw more things at him. It'll be even.
Nice. All right.
Ouch!
All right, so before the fighting ends, you can find everything we do, DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com, YouTube.com/DungeonCrawlerNetwork, Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. I mean, our Twitter's right above us, right above me, as you can see. Everything will be in the description of the video below or in the on the iTunes description. You can just drop that down, find all the links, all the fun stuff to our news articles, as well as everybody else. Their Twitter, where you can find them. That'd be great. Thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you back next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.